Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it. So here's what you get.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Worst of the Best podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and with me today, I'm very excited because I have two wonderful guest hosts, one of which who's been with me before, the other one has not. We'll start with the one who has been here before. Adrian, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you, Ryan. I've been on your Rocky podcast, I think, 2 or 3 times, your Rambo podcast 2 or 3 times. It's the hat trick today. It's going to your 3rd podcast. I'm very excited. I think we become friends. We're way.
No. I barely tolerate you. But
yeah. Lots of people just barely talk to my wife. She barely tolerates me these days. But I'm here and I'm proud to be here. And I'm really excited about the topic today. But get into it.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Now we want to say hi to James. This is James. This is your first time on the show and our first time meeting. James, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I've heard the podcast. I've heard plenty of good things about you, which you tell me is all untrue. So that's fantastic. We're off on a great foot there. Absolute pleasure to be here. Can't wait to get stuck in with what we're going to get stuck into. And all what right. You've got to be aware of also is, you probably know this from our podcast, is Adrian's a great one at hijacking. Yeah. so he's up there. You watch him. Yeah, you watch him because he's great at trying to take over. No, it'll be fine. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really appreciate it.
Well, I'm actually counting on both of you taking over a little bit. So my brother Jason, first and foremost, he's the one that does 99% of the shows with me as of late. He's away again. He's doing another adventure. The last time he was away, he went to the Grand Canyon. He's on another adventure. Yeah, he's on another adventure now. I don't know where he's going. He just said, follow my socials. You'll see where I end up. And I'm like, okay. So all the best to Jason. Hopefully he stays safe.
What a guy.
So when he is away, I like to do topics I know he wouldn't be keen on. So this is such a topic. So what we're doing is NES games. And not just NES games. We're doing the top 10 as voted by NES fans on Reddit. So what I did was, folks, is I took ChatGPT. And you can do this with ChatGPT. It's really kind of cool. I gave them I don't know what ChatGPT identifies as. So I'll just say it. So I gave it 5 different Reddit threads. So the question in Reddit was, what's your favorite NES game or top 10 list? So I took those 5 links and had ChatGPT read all the comments and curate the top 10 list from that. So this is from the fans from Reddit. So I figured that anyone has a top list, it should be the fans who play the games, not some critic on a magazine, or it should be the people that play the games. Guys, you saw the list. Overall, it seemed like a legit list.
There's no stinkers there, and I showed your list to the other members of Arcade Attack, and James is one of them, obviously, and they all agreed these are top games. They're all legitimate classics, I would say.
Yeah, so there's a real mixed bag in there, and there's some absolutely huge titles that I can't wait to get talking about.
And then what I said to myself was, like, I can't do this list by myself. There's no way. What subject matter experts can I ask? Well, guys, why don't you talk about the podcast you hail from, and that's why I chose you.
We're from Arcade Attack, actually, so a retro gaming podcast. We're Croydon-based, really, like southeast London. We've known each other for years. Me and James, I think we've known for 30 years, haven't we, James? I think.
Do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head. I think it's 30 years this year. Yeah.
1992. Oh, wow. Yeah, we were good friends at high school together, and obviously I was friends with other members of Arcade Attack. Rob was part of the team at one point, and we got Dylan and Keith. And we just started a podcast, and we basically done 300 episodes. We're on a little break at the moment, back in the summer, and we're quite proud how it's grown. It's got mediocre. It's got pretty big, really, to be honest. Don't like to, pat myself on the back. We're quite humble people,
Come on.
But we're proud of it, and we don't take it too seriously, right?
There's nothing wrong with that. You should be proud of something. You built something, and you have a community, and you have a large community. And I'm expecting some of your listeners plug it on your socials. Come check out my show, because if you kind of dig what I do here, you might look at the topics of the podcast and see, hey, I want to listen to how Ryan and my brother Jason break down other stuff. And I also guessed it on your podcast at one point too, there, Adrian. What was the topic again? I can't even remember now.
Well, you were on about bonus episodes, I think, during lockdown, and I just wanted to ask you about Rocky, the Rocky podcast, and your gaming history as well. So it was about 3 years ago now, I think, Ryan. But yeah, that was
boy, I can't believe it. Time. It's going by too fast. Then the next thing I did, so I said, Adrian, hey, why don't you come on? He says, yes, I'd love to come on. Then I'm like, boy, this is a big undertaking. Why don't you have one of your co-hosts come on as well? And that's how James ended up on here. So I'm really excited you guys are here. I'm going to count on you guys. So much so that I also said to, I also said to Adrian, hey, here's the list, and I did a bit of a write-up on each game. You can use it as a jumping-off point. You don't have to read it. I don't really care how you guys want to do it. I'm going to do my reading. But I said to you guys, I want you guys to pick 3 games each from the top 10, and I'll take the other. Is that right? 3? No. What did I say? How many games?
You got the maths bit wrong, Ryan, I think. You said 3, 2, 2, I think, initially, so we had to...
Oh, did I only give myself 2 after all? Is that what it was? That's fine. That totally works because it doesn't. We're all going to talk anyways about each game. You're right. I did the math wrong. You'll have to excuse me. Like I was saying before the show started, I'm in the military. Nothing but the bright and the best and the brightest in the military up here in Canada. I said to you guys pick the games you want to talk about. I'll take the dregs, so to speak. So that's how we're doing this. Okay. So here we go, folks. We're going to dive into this list. We got a lot to talk about. With over 700 games in its library, the NES stands as a console of considerable breadth. Selecting the best games from such a vast array can be daunting, but I explained to everyone how I did it, curated everyone's list, and read it. We're not ones to shy away from such a challenge, so it's worth noting that while we've delved into a wide spectrum of NES titles, our focus on these games from the fans would focus on things like popularity or influence. We're going to talk about those things when we talk about the games and other such merits. So without further ado, I do get the first one, so I'm going to jump right into it. I should also let the listeners know. So we're also going to show, when we go through each game, we're going to show the ending of that game, and then we're going to pick at the end what we think is the worst ending of said game. So I have the first one, guys, DuckTales. So during the era of the 8-bit gaming, many adaptations of movies or cartoons fell short of expectation. That goes without saying. I bet you both have played and talked about it on your podcast movies or cartoon games that weren't very good. What's one that comes to mind, James, that was a lackluster experience?
Oh, my goodness me. I can think of one of the great ones, because we didn't do it that long ago, which was Moonwalker.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But
yes.
I mean, Adrian,
that
one sticks out to me because that was quite a sort of a fun-filled, feature-filled episode. But what would you put as the worst?
Captain Planet on the Amiga was pretty rubbish, but I've got a soft spot for it because it was bundled in with my Amiga and I got it.
And because it was on the Amiga.
Sure, was that a movie? Wasn't Captain Planet a movie?
No, it was a cartoon. It was a
TV cartoon. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I missed that one. I'm not going to lie to you. I've heard the name, but I've missed it. Okay.
Good.
But Capcom, which is obviously a great company, Capcom stood out with its exceptional track record of developing quality games based on popular Disney licenses, and one of those, of course, was DuckTales. So rather than simply replicating the action-packed nature of the show, Capcom took a unique approach by incorporating platform elements with a twist. In DuckTales, players assume the role of Scrooge McDuck, who ingeniously uses his cane as a pogo stick to defeat enemies and navigate through levels. While the platforming mechanics were solid, the true allure of the game lay in its treasure hunting aspect. So players were not only tasked with traversing levels, but also with uncovering hidden gems scattered throughout the environments. Additionally, each stage held secret treasures waiting to be discovered, adding an extra layer of excitement and reward to the gameplay experience. So I forgot how good this game looked. I'm going to show you guys the end screen here. Did you guys play this game on the NES? Do you remember playing this game?
Yep. It looks stunning. It looks close to a 16-bit game, I reckon, in some ways. Close to like a SNES game or Mega Drive. Not quite, but yeah, it looks beautiful, actually.
I'll show you the end screen here, guys. But like, I was watching this on YouTube, some of the gameplay, and I was like, I had to double check. I didn't have a Super NES next to the title on my YouTube search. So this is just the NES game. So here we go. So here's the last moments of the game. So we're going to see just the last moments and how the game ends.
The screen we're seeing was a bit frozen, Ryan. You can just see Scrooge himself.
Well, the guy says here, he says, you may have beaten Dracula Duck, but not me. Okay, he beat Dracula Duck. Okay. Because if you want the treasures back, you'll have to catch me. That's the last part of the game, is you have to climb the rope, get to the treasure chest before his baddie joins him there. And there he is, sitting on his pot of gold at the end of the game.
Yeah, very good.
Looking at the video there and also looking at some of the images as well, I don't actually remember it being quite as sharp and clear as that. Like, it's amazing, the colors and the sharpness and things like that. Yeah, it's really good for a NES game.
It's not bad at all. I'm surprised by it, and this was a highly rated game. This game, like I said, made most of the list. That's why it's in the top 10. This is not in any order. It's sort of in order, but it's not really necessarily in order. But they actually do the DuckTales theme at the end here, which I think is great. So Scrooge tells his nephews, hey, thanks for helping your old Uncle Scrooge here. There you go.
Classic.
Pretty good.
I really enjoyed that cartoon as well as a kid, Ryan. I'm sure me and James, that was kind of my era, wasn't it?
Absolutely, remember that one. It was a really good cartoon, and to be fair, it tied in with a lot of other the great cartoons of the time as well. So I remember that being as one of the standout ones. But the fact that the game came along at the same time and looked so good, you can get it catastrophically wrong, but I think they got it very right.
It carried on actually a really good tradition for Disney games for this period and just after, because you had the great Aladdin games, Lion King as well, Pinocchio and Jungle Book, all respected games on the Master System, and I think the NES as well. And for a while, Disney seemed to have a pretty good, and some of the Mickey games as well, the Mickey Castle of Illusion.
Castle of Illusion, yeah.
So it can be done. And I think I read, actually, if I'm wrong, I apologise, I think DuckTales, the people behind Mega Man actually got involved in making this particular game, and you can see some similarities a little bit. Is that fair, James?
They did? Yeah, to be fair, I act in surprise, but you can see some similarities.
I'm surprised, sir. You can act surprised for me because I'm learning stuff here. Keep going, please.
You can see some parallels. If you look at some of the stills from the game, you can see, especially like sort of the line of earth, the grass, some of the designs on the trees, the background and stuff like that. You can see some parallels there. So that doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest with you. But that's awesome. A great thing.
Okay, well, that's all I have to say about DuckTales. You guys want to say anything else about it before we move on? Or
great game. Yeah. Loved it. Loved the cartoon. Loved the game. So, yeah, nothing but love.
Good. So, good translation. Nice to hear. Okay. Adrian, you've got the next. This is a big one. Adrian. You ready to go?
All right, I chose this one straight away. I thought, as I saw this game, I've got to talk about it. Because,
shocker.
Yeah, the Legend of Zelda. I have to... spoiler alert, it's my favourite series of all time. Maybe not this particular game, but the Legend of Zelda series are my favourites. I think I've completed about 12 of those games in my life.
Was that many?
There's even more, and I've actually, interestingly, this is one of the very few Zelda games I haven't completed, the one on the NES. I love the series, Ryan. It's absolutely perfect for me.
What does the series do for you that makes you love it so much?
I got into it a little bit late, so the first Zelda game I properly played was Ocarina of Time on the N64. I remember I missed quite a few college days. I stayed at home. I was like,
you can say that now.
Yeah, and I'm a teacher by trade, so it's not the best thing to say.
That's funny.
I just had to play this game, and it was the first time, really. It's not quite open world, truthfully, but it's the first game I thought where you literally control a 3D environment, you control Link, and you got on this amazing adventure. And it showed me what video games could be. Before that, I was used to like 2D platformers or just little puzzle games here and there, but this game really sort of exploded, and since then I've looked at the previous Zelda games, all the future Zelda games I get as soon as they release them. Something about it is really does call to me. So it's one of my favorite franchises, one of my favorite Nintendo games, and for me personally, I think it's more important than Mario. I think the Zelda games are that important that they've helped change video games. So Breath of the Wild helped the Switch become a mammoth console. Ocarina of Time was one of the first sort of 3D platforming adventure games ever made. It's just so amazing. They're always such a fan of that kind of mood that Zelda portrays.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things is when we look not just at that Zelda game, but kind of the series as it goes on. There's obviously a lot of series in the past of different games, different franchises, and they've kind of maybe lost a bit of the wind in their sails over time. They've kind of had, those difficult games where they've been in the middle of the pack and they've struggled. I don't think Zelda's actually struggled really at any point to kind of capture an audience. To be honest, you look it up now and you look at up the modern Zelda games, people go absolutely crazy for them. So the fact that this kind of kicked it all off, I popped this in the other day and had a little play of it. Something about it where you can just walk around and like cut the bushes and collect jewels and go and talk to people. There's just something so like replayable about it as well. We talk about DuckTales being graphically kind of like ahead. The freedom of movement in the first Legend of Zelda game, I would say, was that big selling point. You say, spoiler alert, you loving Zelda. If anybody listens to our podcast, everybody knows that that's definitely not a spoiler.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, go and check out Adrian's video with him dancing in his Zelda trousers.
Boy.
Yeah, that's for another day. I agree. Great franchise, and what a game to kick it off. Yeah, special.
It was a golden cartridge. The first Zelda game was gold. I mean, not pure gold, obviously, but it stood out. It's something different. Nintendo knew they were onto a winner early doors, I thought, and they thought, well, what can we do to make it stand out a bit? We're going to make it gold. And there's been future cartridges that have been gold as well for Zelda, different colors, and they always, little things like that, they just realized that this is something we need to harness, protect very carefully. And there hasn't been many stinkers. There's been a couple little low points where some people, like Skyward Sword, a lot of people thought it wasn't really kind of lost its way a little bit. Even Breath of the Wild, the recent games, some people think it's kind of gone a bit too far, a bit too open world. I can see that, but for me personally, they've always got that sort of lore, that kind of the way that Hyrule was created. I could talk about Zelda all day, so I've got to be a bit careful, Ryan. I know we can't talk for hours on it, but
No, I don't. I love hearing your passion for it. So you never finished this first game. Did you finish the first game at any point, James, in your life?
No, never finished it. No, tried hard, put some hours in, but yeah, just like Adrian, never finished it. I'm not a sort of as diehard a fan as Adrian is. I've played a smattering of the Zelda games over the years, but I've never sort of stuck with them. They're not sort of my primary sort of genre of game, but the respect for where it came from and the kind of the legacy of the franchise is just incredible. You can't deny that.
My wife bought me, actually, she bought me for my birthday like a handheld game of this particular game, like a mini version of it. I've been playing on that when she's reading. I'm like, I'll play a bit of Zelda. So I have actually tried to get back into the particular game. It's beautiful. It's colour as well. It's like a colour version. It's quite modern. One of my prized possessions. That's part of my sort of big sort of man shelf. That's
shrine.
I'm away, and I really want to complete this particular game because it's how it started. And I think it's only fair that if I really, want to talk about Zelda, I've got to complete the first game, right? So it's groundbreaking. It's not just fighting. The puzzles are amazing. There's huge bosses. It's immersive. You feel like you're in an adventure. I get transported into that world when I play Zelda, and
Nice. Well said. When I do show this, I know it. I don't know why the internet's so bad. It's my fault. I don't know why it's my fault. I use my internet all the time, but for some reason my Wi-Fi is like on the last bar. It's like holding on for dear life. So it's trying to buffer all of us together at the same time. And anyway, so I'm going to play it. So here is the end screen. I don't want to spoil this for you.
You're ruining the game for me now, Ryan.
I know.
Oh no!
I got a question for you guys. Did we know this character's name was Link throughout the game? Is that the big reveal? The princess says his name here. Is that the reveal, the end game?
I think you might be right, actually, because there's a game called Link to the Past later on, and they really make it really clear. But I think, this might be the first time you actually know his name's Link. Or some people still call him Zelda, to be fair, these days, don't they?
So Link does all these adventures, gets his ass kicked for, 10 hours or 50 hours or whatever it is. And she goes, thanks, Link. You're the hero of Hyrule. What are they lifting up over their heads there? The triangle?
Well, that makes the Triforce when you put the three triangles together.
The Triforce,
It's not quite a full Triforce, but there should be another.
I was going to say there's two of them. Two of the Triforces over their head. The screen flashes, and then it says, finally, peace returns to Hyrule. This ends the story. That's it.
Just if you were in any doubt whether that is the end, the final line there, this ends the story.
Because that game, it's at least 50 hours of playing, isn't it?
It's a big game. The ending wasn't amazing. I mean, he saved the day.
He's the hero. He didn't just save the day. Come on, he's the hero of Hyrule.
And this ends the story.
This ends 15 games later, of course, yeah. It's like the Rocky films. This is it. This is my last fight. Yeah, right.
There was a rematch.
Bang. Yeah. Am I right in saying that there are so many memes and misconceptions about the fact that his name is not Zelda? There's so many gamers. There's so many people out there who still get that name wrong.
Awesome. Okay, you've got the next one, Brother James.
Yes, I have. I am indeed ready. Essentially, it's if you're eager to dive into the Mega Man series, but you're unsure where to start, Mega Man 2 is an excellent entry point. Developed by Capcom, this classic action platformer offers a perfect blend of precision gameplay and challenging levels set in Dr. Wily's robotic domain. The premise of the game is actually quite simple. So it's one of these ones where it's easy to pick up, difficult to master. So essentially you start the game off and you, from the very outset, can choose your route through the game. Now, for a NES game of that time, pretty revolutionary because, of course, they were limited on how many sprites you could put on the screen. They were limited on the maps. They were limited on all this other kind of stuff. And to essentially say to the player, right, over to you. You can choose exactly which levels you play in whatever order you wish. And at the end of each level, there's a boss. And if you beat the boss, you obtain their special weapon. Not only that, you can use those weapons by sussing out weaknesses of the other robots. So, of course, there's like a huge amount of scope there to not just like play the game and go through the levels, enjoy the graphics, enjoy all the different types of enemies that come at you. But when you gain the different weapons from the different robots, robot masters, you then have to work out which other robot is weak to those weapons. If you haven't played it already, I will give you a little bit of a spoiler. You have to face all the bosses again towards the end. And that essentially allows you to kind of work out the weaknesses that you've already exploited earlier in the game and try and get through it that way. I'm not going to lie. And Dylan from our podcast, he loves Mega Man, but he says he's totally rubbish at it because it's so difficult. And I'm not going to lie, it is a tough game for many reasons, not just because of the robot masters that obviously you have to master their moves, you have to learn the patterns. There's a lot of pattern learning. You know, there's so many hazards in the levels as well. It really is a sort of a full package. But do you guys know when it was actually released in North America? Quite an interesting date.
What do you mean the date is interesting?
It is.
Like, I don't know that. I wouldn't know that. No.
It's 1988, but it was actually Christmas Eve, 1988.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just in time for Christmas Day.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, that was ballsy, right? To release it the day before Christmas, but that was North America.
Who actually got that game for Christmas Day? I want to know. How many people?
Well,
that's pretty crazy.
There's a poll for you. Who got Mega Man?
I'm sure somebody did. I'm sure somebody must have. You got those parents bless their hearts, went to that store and battled the shopping to get that for their kid.
Oh. God. And obviously, because all physical media, you had to be there to buy it, didn't you? So, a lot of love for this game. Guys, what do you think? What are your experiences of the game?
I have very little. I did play it, and I didn't really speak too much about my NES days. So I'm a little bit older than you guys. I did play the NES. My best friend, who are best friends to this day, we've known each other for, I guess, 36, going on to 36 years now. He had the NES and I had the Sega. So that's kind of how we divided up our divide and conquer. So when we played Sega games, he came to my house, and we played Nintendo games and went to his house. But I had a weird kind of like animosity towards NES. I kind of felt like it's not fair. They got all the money, you get all the, but Sega has a better console. It's a stronger system. It's got better graphics, and they're trying hard.
Don't change.
Yeah, you know. And I was like, I felt bad for them. Like NES is like Apollo Creed, and Sega's like Rocky. You know, it's the underdog system. Anyways, but I begrudgingly liked a lot of these games. I played the majority of the games on this title. I would probably say all of them I played at his house. Though Mega Man might have been the one. I don't know if we ever owned it together, but I definitely played it, but maybe not part two. I played the Mega Man game at some point in my life. I know I have. I'm not a big platformer, those type of platformer shooting games, so bless your heart for doing that, James. I'm not very good at them. I'm more of a role-playing game guy anyway, so.
But that's the beauty of gaming, right? That's the beauty of gaming. We all love different things.
Absolutely. Because I suck. That's why I like role-playing games, is because if you just grind long enough, you'll be strong enough to be like, you just got to grind, get the money for the sword that can beat up the boss, and that's old school grinding, right? Yeah, no, I love the storylines and RPGs, but no RPGs really other than Zelda on this list, which I found interesting.
Yeah. And it's quite a light RPG at that, to be fair. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not good at Mega Man 2. I'm not good at Mega Man 1. I'm not good at any Mega Man. I'm finding it very difficult.
We had a whole pod on this, and I kind of like went around the room and was asking like everyone's experience, and everyone was like, yeah, I like it. I'm just really bad at it.
That's interesting, because some games can be hard, but not a very enjoyable experience, like E.T. or something like that. So some games can be difficult but abysmal. But this seems to be a game that, though it's difficult, it's like an early Dark Souls platform game.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. If you could go back, and if someone could kind of say, right, you know, because Elden Ring's obviously blown up. If someone said to you, right, go back and find a game that essentially gives you the same pattern learning, amount of bosses, collection of weapons, that sort of thing. In my mind, Mega Man does that. Because, of course, you have got so many bosses, you have got so many different enemies you have to defeat, and you have to learn the patterns. And if you don't learn the patterns and you don't take them on in that way, and you just try and go in and like shock and awe, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, and you do get a reward for that. You talk about the first Mega Man game. The first Mega Man game, the box art was horrendous. It was done in like 2 hours. There's a guy with a pistol. It looks terrible. They realized that they had to massively up their game for number 2, and absolutely smashed it. I mean, but I have actually recently just completed all of the Mega Man games. So
wow.
I know how he does it, Ryan. I know.
Yeah, there was a couple of the X games on the SNES that I was like, I literally was shouting at the screen so hard, and eventually I managed to do it.
So you've seen this ending. You've seen the Mega Man 2 ending, which we're going to show now. What happens,
James? We're testing you now if you know it.
Oh, yeah, I should have done that. How does this one end?
Prove it.
So you fight various iterations of Dr. Wily, who essentially he's in like a big walker, and then he's in like a spaceship, and then he transforms into like this weird alien guy. He rides around the screen and basically shoots this little pellet at you, which is massively damaging.
So what is this thing floating around right now?
This is his lab, basically. So when you take him out, he then is basically controlling that little hallucinogenic alien who's trying to kill you. He then essentially, you take him out, he falls out of his little pod and he grovels to you and says, "I'm so sorry, Mega Man, I didn't realize." And he basically tries to beg for his life.
So he is groveling. He's bowing. Almost like he's worshiping Mega Man.
Because he's had it. He's done. Mega Man's taken all of his robot masters. He's nicked all the weapons, and he's beaten all of Dr. Wily's kind of like lab creations and stuff. And then you just see Mega Man walk in, and he changes to different seasons and colors and things. It's cool.
Why the season change? And I found this, so I'm going to play it here, and I've found this ending really cool. As Mega Man's walking towards you, the viewer, it shows these different seasons, and for NES graphics, this is pretty wild. Why the different seasons?
Don't think about so much about seasons. It's more to do with the settings of the bosses. So, for example, you'll have like Quick Man with the boomerangs there. You'll have Woodman, who's got the leaf shield. You've got, I can't remember most of them now. Metal Man with the metal blades, etc. And it all kind of represents those different sort of states. At the end there, you get a lovely picture of what looks to be the Shire. And he's basically like, I think the insinuation is that he's hung up his helmet.
He placed his helmet on the grassy knoll there, and he's walked away from being Mega Man. Again, this is it. No more Mega Man, right? This is it?
The helmet on the grass kind of says that's it. That's where the story ends. Yeah, except it really doesn't.
I thought that was a great ending.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, awesome stuff. Thanks, James. Who's got the next one? That's you, Adrian. You've got the next one. You ready?
Again, yeah. So we're going to talk about Metroid now, which is again another iconic Nintendo series. Metroid marked a pivotal moment for the NES, introducing players to a groundbreaking experience characterized by its expansive non-linear levels and minimalistic storytelling. Samus Aran's inaugural journey revolutionized the action platformer genre with its innovative features like password saves.
You remember those?
Well, I remember playing games on the 8-bit and even 16-bit where if you died or you wanted to continue, you had to keep the console on and said, "Don't turn it off." And for hours, you couldn't save it. It's only a bit later on that you could properly save games. This password protection, it sounds silly. Password save, it was pretty big at the time.
Yes.
I quite like the Metroid games. It's quite a big run and gun platformer. I think it stands out because, like they said there, it's non-linear. You can choose which directions you can go, and different parts of the level open up later on. It's got quite a nice space atmosphere, quite atmospheric, and it's hard as well. It's a hard game. Again, if I'm wrong, I apologize. I don't think you find out in this game, at least, that Metroid is a girl.
You spoiled it. Oh,
I spoiled it.
So I remember this game came out, and I remember the hubbub as a kid. Well, I guess I was about 12 when this came out. I thought it was great, because think about this for a second, guys. 1986, what gender is the average player of an NES console? Like, really? It's a guy. It's a boy.
It's going to be boys, let's be honest.
Yeah. I never knew any girl players. Growing up, now there's a lot of female gamers now. Of course, go to Twitch. There's the most successful Twitchers out there are females. There was no female. If there was, it was like 1 for every 100. I didn't know of anyone that played video games that was a female. None. Like, none of my friends' sisters played. Nobody played. It was old guys that played. At the arcades, when we went to the arcades, it was full of guys. So the big reveal is an 11-year-old kid or 12-year-old kid playing this game. He beats Metroid and sees the reveal that the whole time you've been playing this character, kid, it's been a girl. And I guarantee you there's probably some kid who threw his control at the TV screen. I love that reveal. What about you, James?
I think that's a hell of a twist. Also, when you look at all of the things like the box art and the different iterations of Samus and kind of the suit and the gun and everything like that, it's just the epitome of kind of a cool character. And to then wheel out the fact that it's female, hey, come on, anyone can do anything, right? I think the reason it succeeded, because you could say, oh, well, it's the same as Mega Man. No, it just isn't, because different universe, different types of enemies, very, very different sort of level design, almost a little bit odd.
I remember being a weird game as a kid that it seemed different.
It wasn't like go right on the screen. It was a bit different to that. Is this standard?
Again, this also confirmed with me. I hate platform games. Which is the majority of NES games. This is why I was a big role player. I played sports games. So I played hockey, the football games, baseball, and RPGs. Any game that requires me to jump at the right time, shoot me in the head. I hate that type of. I admire the people that have that hand-eye, not me. I'm more of like storyline grind, and I immerse myself into the world environment. That's why the game that got me to role-playing games, we might have to do a role-playing game episode, the top role-playing games, because the role-playing game that got me into role-playing games was Phantasy Star on the Sega Master System. So that
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah. Quick sidebar. I bought the magazine game, what do you call it? The monthly gaming magazines, and I had the Sega monthly, and I had all these other monthly gaming magazines, and they were advertising Phantasy Star that was coming out to the States from Japan. You know, Dune, the sandworms that come out of Dune. Well, they kind of had their own version of that in Phantasy Star, and it was a screenshot of the worm coming out of the sand, but for 12-year-old Ryan seeing this worm, I saw the graphics of this thing, and I remember when I bought the cartridge, you could tell the quality of the game back then by the heaviness of the cartridge. If the cartridge was heavier, that means there was more data on this thing. So the Phantasy Star cartridge was much heavier than my, like, let's say, my Rocky boxing game that I had. So kids, listen to this, kids. So back in the day when we were kids, no internet.
Nope.
We were stuck at the very end of the game. We were stuck. We had to plant this nut. The cat Mayu, I think was the name of the cat. We had to plant the nut to build a tree that goes up to the final level guy in the clouds, the city in the clouds. We couldn't figure out what to plant this thing. We would go around this freaking universe, world, constantly trying to plant it. I don't know how many times I read the words, I cannot use item here, cannot use item here. Seeing that, I can still see it in my head. And I was like, oh my God, how do I use this? Where do we plant this seed? So I wrote into the Sega magazine saying, where the F do I plant the seed, folks? I need help, please, desperately. We can't finish it. We've put in 200 hours in this game. We need to finish. We had to wait for the letter to arrive to the magazine people, for them to accept the question and answer, then publish the answer. We didn't know if they were going to publish the answer. Month 1 goes by, no answer. Month 2 goes by, no answer. Month 3, open up the magazine, and there was my question and answer. It said where to plant it. I ran home, planted that thing, and then I took a picture. And I still have the photograph to this day of a photo of the end screen of the game to prove, because then you would send in your pictures to the magazines to prove that you finished the game. That, folks, was old school gaming back in the day.
That's a great story.
Respect.
Okay, here we go. Here is the end screen, or the end game of Metroid. I kind of muted the music there. The Metroid character goes up to shoot, and we see it's on the planet's surface or something. Here's the wording. It says, great. I love it. This is your great.
Great.
You fulfilled your mission. It will revive peace in space, but it may be invaded by the other Metroid. So I guess Metroid was the bad guy. I love how it says, pray for a true peace in space. Can you imagine seeing this for the first time as a kid? The character starts to flash, folks, and then you'll see some identifying features here, which I thought was very, excuse the pun, ballsy of the creators to do this. Look at this. Look.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
This is why I know the creators did this to all the 12-year-old boys, because she's looking at the screen and she's waving to the player. Basically, hi, you've been playing the female the whole time, and she buggers off.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about that. You know, there would be kind of a conversation going on between friends of like, have you completed the game? Have you seen what's at the end of it? And there'd be a whole kind of conversation bubble around that. You don't want to spoil the ending because you want them to kind of get that in the face moment, don't you? You want your friends to kind of find out, and you didn't want to tell them. So you want a way to get talking about a game. That's the kind of plot twist you put in there.
Awesome stuff. All right, I've got the next one. This is the original, folks. This is Super Mario Brothers. It revolutionized not just Nintendo, but the entire gaming landscape. Packaged with the majority of NES systems at launch, it became the gateway for entire generations into the world of gaming. Its iconic opening level is celebrated as a masterpiece for its accessibility, challenge, and ingenious design. With its colorful introduction to the Mushroom Kingdom, Super Mario Bros. Taught players the fundamentals needed to navigate its 8 worlds. Its secrets and smart mechanics captivated millions, defining the platform genre for years to come. The game's impact goes beyond entertainment. It played a crucial role in revitalizing the industry after the 1983 video game crash. Super Mario Bros. Fundamentally changed the trajectory of gaming, shaping the medium into what it is today. No list of NES games, or of games in general, couldn't have this game. What do you say?
If you're talking about NES games, it's impossible not to put it in there. And as you say, even if you open it up to all the other games, it's young, old, doesn't matter who you are, where you are, you never not heard of Super Mario Brothers. And as far as like, films go from the 80s, 90s up till now, and of course you've got the Super Mario Brothers film now, but even before that, it's just such an iconic name. You get all the images in your head of what the characters are and all the kind of friends and enemies and things like that. So there's no surprises there, to be honest with you.
When I was young, the things you would find out about, the secret side missions, the speed runs, the secret tunnels, the way you could slide and skip and bop around, and it's such a fascinating game. Once you realize all the different tricks you could do, it blew your mind as a kid. Like, I can go up there and move up there.
With the screen,
blew your mind as a kid. Even as a avid Sega person that I was, you couldn't help but play this game and have some fun with this game.
I think it's actually quite difficult to make a good platformer because it's easy to get things wrong. It can be too slidey. The jump mechanics can be all wrong. This is basically perfection when it comes to platforming because it's quite simple. The graphics are simple, but I think you said it really well at the start. It's very accessible at the start, but it soon picks up the pace. The levels get harder quite quickly, but you're so engaged in finding those little tricks and pipes and hidden worlds. I remember just seeing this as a kid, and I never had an NES as well, Ryan, but I had a friend that had one, and this is one of the games we used to play all the time. It was just something about it. I don't think it's like the best looking NES game right now. I think there's better looking ones, but pure gameplay wise, there's not much better. Now,
did you guys finish it in your days of playing? Did you actually ever accomplish it, James?
I did. Well, now, bearing in mind, we're going back quite a few years, but yeah, eventually. It is tough though because it doesn't pull any punches, and let's be honest, it's not a case of because a lot of games you had like a health bar, you could get hit maybe 3-4 times, you could pick up health, etc. The health in Mario was you're either a little Mario or you're a big Mario, and that's it. You get hit once when you're a big Mario, you go down, you get hit again, you're dead. So you get effectively 2 bites of the cherry. It's tricky, especially some of the bosses as well.
Here is the end of a Super Mario. Now, it's funny. Is it Super Mario Brothers or Bros? I think officially it's Bros, is it not?
I never thought about that question, to be fair.
Yeah. So here we go. Mario's going to... What's the name of the last guy again? Forget his name.
It's Bowser, isn't it?
Bowser. So here we go. So he beats up Bowser. Bowser's dead. And the princess says, "Thank you, Mario. Your quest is over. We present you a new quest. Push button B to select a world." That is it. That is the ending to all this chaos and fun. You just get to play again. What does pressing B do to give you a new world? Is it a playthrough again? Or how does that? I don't understand.
But I think that it like cranks up the difficulty somehow. I know the title screen changes to a different color. I'm sure there's like either more enemies or something.
So again, you could just give them credit for that idea of that replayability. This game just had all these things, even the very genesis of their system, where you finish the game, but replayability, as you know, in today's modern game is a huge factor for gamers today. I want to play it again. I want to try it differently. The fact that Mario Brothers did it at the very beginning is very, very telling of its insight to gaming, what people want to do it again in a little bit of a different way.
Ryan, I don't know if you know, but there's also a game called Mario Maker, and you can actually make your own levels, and they can look like NES graphics or SNES graphics, or even or even like kind of Wii graphics. Some of the games people have made are ridiculous.
On YouTube, you probably can watch it.
When you jump around.
Oh my god! There's one, and you've probably seen this as both of you have probably seen this, but it's done the rounds on every
fire
platform you can imagine.
Around, yeah.
Oh my god! There's like arms of the fireballs, and they're swinging, interlocking, and things like that. And there's literally the smallest of gap between each. And there's these guys that do these speed runs. They're mad. There's a guy called Ryukar, I think his name is, and he actually does all of these like ridiculous, difficulty off the chart. And you think there's no way he's doing that, and he does it. But I mean, anyway. But that just shows you people still, cranking up the difficulty.
Absolutely,
playing the game.
This is a game. The Mario Brothers, it will never die. It will be played to some degree by somebody until this planet is burnt by the sun.
Absolutely. Just off the back of what we were saying when we complete it, I want to give you a complete answer. You can choose to replay the game with an increased difficulty. All the Goombas are replaced with buzzy beetles. And enemies similar to Koopa Troopers who cannot be defeated using the fire flower. Essentially, it just becomes like some enemies can't be killed with something. Yeah, so
I would just hang up my controller, like, no, I finished it. I'm good. Yeah.
I'm done. I'm good.
All right, you've got the next one there, James.
I have still a sort of a platformer, but a very different tone of game, which is Castlevania 3: Dracula's Curse. And the third installment on the NES alone. So to get 3 games out on the NES on the trot is pretty good achievement. Castlevania 3: Dracula's Curse marked a triumphant return to the series' roots. Konami abandoned the RPG elements of Simon's Quest, and a lot of people will know that game quite well. And they focused instead on refining the challenging platform that defined the original Castlevania. So players assumed the role of, I love this name, Trevor Belmont,
Yeah, it's great.
What a guy. Absolutely, Trevor. In this non-linear adventure, navigating branching pathways and facing multiple endings in their quest through Dracula's castle. With 16 challenging stages, engaging combat mechanics, and a visually iconic style, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse solidified its status as a classic in NES history. It's been a long while since I played this one, but I did play it quite a bit back in the day. The thing that stays with me is a lot of the elements from the first and the third game. I think what they did, they held on to the right things. The style of the enemies, the way the levels were formed, the different sort of gates and kind of the candles you had to hit to get the little hearts to get your life, all that sort of stuff. I think all of those little things amounted to really quite a good game. And actually, if you look at a lot of the more modern Castlevania games, I think they carried those things that worked and they carried them on well. There's always a risk with these types of games where they introduce too much new stuff. It can go a bit wrong. We've seen plenty of games that do that. But I think actually, when you say Castlevania to any gamer, they always think about the game similar to the third game, which was basically solidifying the whole gothic, dark, very much so kind of Dracula's castle type gameplay. So I enjoyed it. I didn't think I would have done back in the day. Thinking back on it now, I'm like, oh, I did it. And then once I looked at the screenshots and went through some of the playthroughs and stuff, I was like, yeah, that was actually quite a good game. And again, very different tone to your Mega Mans and your Metroids and stuff. It was very much a sort of a dark, gothic, Dracula-esque type game. But yeah, good game. So I can see what's on the list.
It looks good, actually, and it's another game that I think is borderline. Could be a 16-bit. It doesn't. It looks pretty clever.
It's a very strong-looking game. I dabbled. I know I have played a Castlevania game back in the day. Must have been a dabble effort. Never invested in it, but I know I've seen them. Of course, I know the series. See it all the time. It's on all the new systems as well. They've keep going with that series. Don't they keep going with that series?
I think the new sort of the newest iteration. I was checking it out a little while ago. What they've done is they've taken the basic sort of premise of it, the platform, but what they've done is like a blown up screen, so you can kind of see like the whole level in one go.
Oh, okay.
And it's almost like a micromanagement kind of game.
Oh, wow.
I suppose it crosses over between platform and shoot 'em up.
Sim Dracula.
Yeah, it kind of is that, and it looks a bit weird and a bit different, but it kind of plays. I mean, there's games like there's another game called like Shadow Complex, which is the same type of thing, and there's a couple other games where you've got like literally a small character in a huge kind of expanse, and it's like a little sandbox, but a platform sandbox, if that makes sense. So that's where they are now. I don't know how sort of popular that's been, but I enjoyed it.
Did you finish part 3?
Didn't finish it, no.
Okay, well, are you ready to see
so
now?
You can't quiz me on the end screen, so I'm going to be interested to see this.
That's fine. Yeah, so this is interesting because what I got off YouTube was the full playthrough. I just cut out the ending part. So we're going to see the two endings that you can end with. I guess you can end two different ways here. And there's a bit of a dialogue to read. What's this guy's name again?
Trevor Belmont.
Trevor. So here's Trevor fighting really briefly here, fighting and then killing Dracula at the end here. Dracula shooting stuff out of his eyes. He's dead. Trevor's really happy about his victory. And then we're going to cut to the end screen here. He takes some sort of orb or something. I'm not sure what that's for, but
he's got the red ball.
He's got the red ball. So he's with somebody here. They're watching the castle fall.
Yes.
It's Count Dracula's castle. The scroll is so slow. I don't know why it's so slow. It says here, Trevor made many sacrifices. The long fight is over. Dracula is dead, and all other spirits are asleep. Both feel their friendship is stronger since they work together to rid Wallachia City of evil. Grant will start to rebuild the destroyed areas of the city. So I guess that guy in red there, the red bandana, that's Grant. After this fight, the Belmont name shall be honored by all people. So there you go. This is alternate ending 1 is essentially what we're seeing here. And then we're going to see the castle fall again. I guess whoever made this video showed us both endings. I guess there's a part in the game where you can side with one or the other. Is that it? Or
I guess it says it's got different stages, different sort of, maybe there's different.
So the castle falls again. Yeah. You have this. Well, it's a different person. Well, this person's standing up. They're like a head and shoulders taller than Trevor. So again, it says Trevor made many sacrifices. The long fight is over. Dracula's dead, and all the other spirits are asleep. The battle was won by Trevor and Alucard, but Alucard feels guilty because he killed his real father. So it was Dracula the father of Alucard. Interesting. Trevor realizes this as he stands there thinking about Alucard. Wait. That's a weird way to read that. Yeah. So, Trevor realizes this as he stands there thinking about Alucard. I'm realizing that I feel bad about killing my dad as I stand here thinking about killing my dad. That's essentially what that's saying. Oh, the writing. This must have been a translation. After this fight, the Belmont name shall be honored by all people. Okay, so there's two different characters I guess you can side with during the adventures of Castlevania 3.
I think it's a case that at some point you can actually you can select path A or path B, whatever, after I think defeating a boss. And one of them takes you obviously around this guy. And I'm assuming the first one, you have to probably kill him.
Oh, there's a third.
Oh, there's a third guy. Oh, sorry. Oh, boy. Yeah, so for this last one, we have Trevor putting his arm around a gal. So he's with the gal now in this last ending. Trevor made many sacrifices. The long fight is over. Dracula's dead. And all other spirits are fast asleep. Oh, this is Sypha. Oh, Sypha, the vampire killer, has had a bad life. But since she met Trevor, she's beginning to feel more comfortable with herself.
Oh.
Go on, Trevor.
Trevor's a gentleman. What can I say?
Go on, Trevor. Get in there.
Fight, the Belmont name shall be honored by all people. Oh, great. I do love how she's feeling more comfortable with herself. That's important. That's good. So you go. There's the 3 alternate endings you can get. We did that for you, folks, so now you don't have to finish the game. There's the exit screen there. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. That's the end of that game. Okay. All right, who's got the next one?
Right, I'm going to talk about Contra, which is a controversial...
Hey!
The enduring appeal of Contra speaks volumes about its exceptional design. It successfully translated the arcade shooting experience into the home console realm, capturing the essence of the 80s action blockbusters in a challenging 8-bit adventure. Konami's game skillfully alternated between horizontal and vertical scrolling stages, testing abilities to survive relentless waves of enemy attacks. It's an interesting game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is the introduction of Solid Snake. Is that right, James?
Yes. I hadn't learned that up until sort of relatively recently, but yeah, it is.
So Solid Snake, obviously, probably better known for Metal Gear Solid, which I have to put my hands up.
Oh, really? That's the character?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep.
And
that's right.
I have to say, I'm not a fan of Metal Gear Solid, and that's going to hurt a few people.
I don't play those.
See, James is a fan. Dylan and Keith would, if my other hosts would probably lynch me right now, but I just find those games a bit annoying. I prefer Contra. It's more actiony, more shooting-y. It's my kind of cup of tea. I don't like the old hide-in-the-box kind of shenanigans. So, the actual cover of Contra, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's great. It's like a really interesting mock-up, and one of the characters is clearly Arnold Schwarzenegger, and one is clearly Rambo. So we got Stallone in the background as well.
That would make sense considering when it came out. And the 2 action heroes at the time, they're drawing the eyes of the young boys again who are playing these games. 2 muscle-bound figures on the top of a war game. Of course, this is gonna put a lot of money in Nintendo's pockets. But not only that, it seems like it was a fun game. And I played this game. I was one of those boys. I got caught up. I played this in the arcade as well. Like, this is a game. It's warfare, and you got to play this as a boy.
I like it. It looks really cool, and like I said, I think you said it can either be horizontal and vertical. So each level kind of changes look, which is quite fun, I think. So a good game, good solid shooter, in my opinion.
Just another bit of trivia for you guys, because you love a bit of trivia. Do you know what it was called in the European release? Probotector.
What was it called?
Probotector.
What does that mean? Is that a word?
Oh, I'm not offering an explanation. I'm just... But yeah, the European NES version of Contra was renamed Probotector. But this is the funny thing. This is the weird thing. I've only ever known it as Contra. Adrian, I'm sure on one previous pod that we did, I think Keith actually didn't actually know. Like he didn't know, but he was saying, "Oh, it's Probotector," and I was like, "Huh? What? Wait, what is this Probotector?" And we kind of had like cross wires, and then we realised, of course, that it was renamed for the European market as Probotector. But it's weird. I've never seen it called Probotector. I've only ever seen it called Contra, which is strange because for the European market, which I've only ever known, the European market, of course, Probotector. So weird one, that one. Marketing weird.
The characters' names are Bill or Lance. So if I got it wrong about Solid Snake, I apologise. But I'm sure there's a link.
Maybe.
I'm sure there's something somewhere. I'm sure you're right. I've seen that somewhere. Anyway, Steve will be able to correct us.
So here's the final boss and kill in the outro end screen or end game of this Contra, because I never finished it. So
this game is so cool.
I love how he's fighting shirtless. I just love how they're not wearing shirts. Why would you wear a shirt?
Commando on steroids.
So he kills that alien creature. The helicopter takes off from the island. The island blows up. The helicopter takes off. The island sinks into the ocean. And here's the outro. I love this. Congratulations. You've destroyed the vile Red Falcon and save the universe. Consider yourself a hero. That's what it says. That's it.
That's it.
Consider yourself a hero.
Nobody else is telling you you're a hero. You just need to consider yourself.
Just consider.
There's no awards. Just
consider yourself a hero. That's so funny. They save themselves by saying, "Consider yourself a hero." I love that. I don't know why that makes you laugh. Who's got this one?
I'm up now. I've got Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and I don't think there's a single Nintendo owner anywhere in the world that doesn't know or doesn't have a lot of love for this game. The allure of the underdog story has always been captivating, and the journey of Little Mac, the underweight title contender, certainly struck a chord with many of us back in 1987. That long ago, 1987.
I know.
While Punch-Out originally debuted as an arcade game, it was the NES adaptation, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, that truly captured the heart of players. In this game, we follow Little Mac as he embarks on a mission to defeat heavyweight legend Mike Tyson, using his skills to dodge, duck, and jab his way to the top. There are so many viewpoints on this game, but a lot of people, most of them are, oh, it's too hard, I can never get to the end, I can never finish it, because of course, with this game, it's not just a case, unlike some of the other ones that we've discussed, it's not just a case that you have some hard parts, some easier parts. This is a case of it turns the screw on you. So essentially, you have an easier first opponent, and then as you go forward, they get really, really difficult, to the point at which I'm sure there's been some broken controllers over the years. Even people playing it now, you know, you say to someone, give me a difficult NES game. You can put this out there. You can put Punch-Out out there. But essentially, you fight all these weird and wonderful people, and they have all of these different boxing styles. So you have to learn their patterns. You have to know where to hit them. And more importantly, you have to actually use a lot of timing as well. There's some enemies in there where it's not just about finding a weak spot. It's actually waiting for a particular moment. The one I remember most fondly, and Adrian, you probably laugh when I say this one because we've talked about this before, is the ball. You know, the ball. He's unbelievably massive. And what he does is he jumps up the back of the ring and he does a little hop charge at you. I'm not being funny. The first time you play it, you have no idea how to beat this guy. He just comes at you and just flattens you with a right hook. It's like planting the nut. Yeah, it's like planting the nut. You're thinking, I need some answers on how to beat this guy. And essentially, it's a case that if you time a low punch correctly, you can actually knock him out. And he goes flying back onto the canvas. And it's things like that that are so good. It's not a case that you beat every enemy the same way. They're all done in a different way. And of course, final boss is Mike Tyson.
I believe Dario's the ref, isn't he? He's
the
ref.
He is.
Isn't there a little glitch or a very little secret that every time Mario raises a hand, that's the time to hit Mike Tyson?
No, you're not thinking Mario. No, it's somebody in the crowd.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
That's a real glitch. So apparently, with I think it's just the Tyson fight. I'm not sure, but there's a guy that does his hand goes up in the air in the crowd, and every time he does that, there's something you would do. I don't know what that thing was. I can't remember. It's been years, but someone figured out that every time somebody in the crowd does a certain thing, that's when you lay a punch at Tyson.
That's right.
Didn't know that. Oh, there's me grinding for however many hundreds of hours trying to beat this guy. Learning.
Did you ever beat him?
I did.
Oh, of course you did. Do you remember the ending?
I think it ended with Logan Paul getting his head knocked off, isn't it? Is it Jake Paul?
Jake Paul fighting Tyson.
There's one that wrestles and there's one that's boxes, I guess. But talk about the legacy for Tyson, though. To think that he had a video game even way back in '87 after him. Now he's still boxing. Look, I think he's getting $20 million. Sure. Do it. That's how I look at it. Just take the money. Who cares? Whatever it is, take the money. And it's going to be on Netflix, apparently, so we all get to watch it.
Netflix's first venture into live sporting action. So
I love
it's going to be interesting.
Love it. I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I have Netflix. Why not?
Probably watch it, but are they going to actually let these guys go at it full pelt? I don't think so. I mean,
I don't know how full it is. It's probably 5 rounds or whatever. We'll see. Okay, so here is the end game to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
He's so tough as an enemy.
So he gets knocked out. Mario comes in for the count. Why doesn't he do the count? He just says TKO. Little Max very happy.
Knockdown, I think, yeah.
What I love, the most unrealistic part of the game is Tyson's good sportsmanship at the end here. Mike Tyson says, "Great fighting. You are tough, Mac. I've never seen such finger speed before." So I don't know. I don't understand this line. Can you guys explain this? I've never seen such finger speed before. Now, I think
I guess he's talking about the pressing the buttons quickly.
Oh, your fingers on the controller.
Probably.
Yeah.
I thought he was talking about date night. Okay, my fault. Okay.
If you think about it in any other context, it just either doesn't work or is really dirty.
Honestly, guys, I didn't even consider the controller. No, you're right. It's controller speed. You'd have to be right. Funny thing is, this game is not about button mashing, so that wouldn't even be true.
It is to a little bit because if you get knocked down, you do have to hit the buttons quickly to get back up again.
There he is.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, so what we have here, folks, is the outro of the fighters you fight. Glass Joe, Von Kaiser. So we have to guess their nationalities while we do this. German, okay. We got Piston Honda, I guess. Piston Honda.
It's a tricky one.
Piston Honda, for our listeners, is a Japanese character. Hey, look, I didn't make these characters, man. Don't get mad at me. Then we got Don Flamenco. He's probably, a Spaniard, maybe, or Italian?
Yeah. Gotta be Spanish.
King Hippo. And he guesses King Hippo. I don't know what he is, but he has no nose, really big mouth. He looks like a troll. He looks like something from Lord of the Rings.
That's what Americans think of the English, perhaps.
Oh, no.
Maybe.
Right.
The Great Tiger, which may be what, I guess India, maybe?
India,
Nepal.
Yeah.
Then here's your bald bull.
He's actually Turkish.
Oh, is he Turkish? There you go. Good job.
I believe so.
And then we got Soda Popinski. Well, obviously he's Russian, right? He's drinking a bottle of soda. And then we got Mr. Sandman. I'll just go. He's a U.S. citizen. Okay, I'll be safe. And then we have Super Macho Man, which I love.
Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, dear.
And there you go. Whoever played the game was 14-0. Good for them. Okay.
So the penultimate game on our list is Super Mario Bros. 3. So we've kind of skipped Mario Bros. 2. Well,
you know what's interesting? Again, this was what people voted on. So for whatever reason, people voted on 1 and 3 over 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I think that's fair. I think Mario Bros. 2 is controversial. It didn't really carry on where the first game left off. It's people don't see it. Some people don't even see it as a Mario game. 3 took what 1 did and just made it the best. I actually think, and this is a strong opinion, it might be the best Mario game, platform game. It's just perfect. I just remember playing at my friend's house, and I was like, I'll play the original Mario. He's got number 3, and wow, you could be like a raccoon. You could sort of fly around. You have more powers.
That tail thing was revolutionary.
It was crazy. So you kind of float, couldn't you? It was bizarre. So it was, there you go. So it was released in 1990. Stands as a remarkable achievement for the NES. It built upon the success of its predecessors while introducing innovative elements that became integral to the franchise. The game's pacing, difficulty curve, and level design revolutionized the platforming genre. Its rich style and variety, coupled with numerous secrets to uncover, ensure enduring enjoyment. Despite its age, Super Mario Bros. 3 remains impressive, pushing the NES to its limits and delivering seminal gaming experiences. People first saw this game, Ryan, I don't know if you know about this, on a film called The Wizard, which is an amazing 80s movie, which is so...
is that with Michael Jackson?
No, not Michael Jackson.
That's The Wiz. I'm thinking. We're talking about the kid from Wonder Years.
Wonder Years, that's it. Yeah. And it's actually not a bad film. I quite like it. Tobey Maguire's in it for a split second as well. Believe it or not, there's a few little random roles. I think Christian Slater's in it as well. It's bonkers. It's basically a massive advert for Nintendo Championship. and throughout this whole, the last game is revealed for this big tournament, and it's Mario Bros. 3, the first time I think the US customers ever saw this game. So it had almost like a free advert on these big movie.
That's right. Oh yeah, no, I've seen the game. They end up in it's about a tournament. They end up in the tournament at the end. You're right. It shows a bunch of games. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's so bad it's good, and it also shows you the Power Glove. I don't know if we got to talk about the Power Glove on the NES.
Power Glove.
It doesn't do it. Does that thing do anything? Does it actually do anything?
You can control. You put the glove on. It's basically a controller, and you can move your hands.
You're just wearing the controller.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. What about the robot? What about the robot that came with the NES? Remember the robot?
Rob or ROB, is it? Is that right? Yeah, you can kind of move the discs around, can't he? It's very cool.
What did that do though? What did the robot do?
It could be like a second player, but it didn't really work. It's so stupid.
Okay, all right. I just remember seeing
it was a good idea at the time.
Yeah, sure.
But
okay,
Mario Bros. 3, honestly, it is that good. It's just so fun. It's brilliant. I can't really say much more than that. I think it's maybe my favorite Mario game.
The original Mario game, you got surprised by the add-ons to the levels, the different areas, the little secrets and things like that. When you got the raccoon tail and you actually flew in some of the levels, you almost got like another level on top of the level, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you found all of these different platforms, coins, boxes, etc. When you flew up, and you were like, okay, so I've played through this level already. I'm kind of now, replaying it and finding all this new stuff. So we talk about replayability. They clearly took all of that from the first one and then just went absolutely mad on it with the third one. And I agree with Adrian what was saying about Mario 2. It almost like disappeared into sort of obscurity because I mean, I played that recently, actually. My young boys like to play the Mario games, and I've got like a NES and a SNES, etc. They played Mario 2, and they were like, they have unfiltered, they have no filter. So they were like, I don't like this one. It's not as fun. And it's like, why don't you like it? It's like, oh, it just looks weird and it doesn't feel right. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll put like Mario 3 on or whatever. And it's just such a different experience. Mario 3, you talk about getting confused with SNES games. There you go. There's one right there that could be confused with it. But it's a great game. Colourful, like crazy, highly addictive as well.
I remember loving it even back then. Again, I played it when I was young. And when that game came out, I don't remember part 2 because it's probably just like everyone else. But when 3 came out, it just seemed like Mario's back. It was a comeback.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
So did you guys ever finish the game? Do you remember finishing it at all? Do you recall?
I can't remember. It's been so many years.
I think I was around a friend's house when he did. But yes, that's right. Yes, I do remember it.
So there's Bowser gets killed. You go through this little doorway, and there's the princess crying. She's sad that she's a prisoner. And she says this to Mario: "Thank you."
Here we go.
But our princess. This is the running gag, right? That the princess is always in another castle. Remember that?
Yeah.
So she goes, but our princess is in another castle. Just kidding. Ha ha ha. Bye bye. And that is the end of the game.
Bye bye.
Can you imagine? You've been locked up in a jail for like 3 or 4 months with Bowser. And that's the big joke you come up with when you get rescued.
And that's the end sequence. She laughs at Mario that she is indeed the real princess. Just joking. Haha, it's me. Curtain closed, and that's it.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Big hi.
Thanks for saving me. Bye.
Yeah, is she saying bye to Mario or the player? Like, it's weird. Bye bye.
It almost seems like to Mario, which is like just a massive kick in the teeth. Like, thanks for coming.
One. Now you got the last one. Here we go.
It's a biggie. It is Tetris, but again, another one of those ones that you say the name, everybody, young, old, gamer or not, knows the name. So Tetris is a renowned puzzle game, a video game created in 1985. We're going back even further now, by Soviet software engineer Alexei Pajitnov. Players manipulate falling tetrominos to complete lines, earning points as lines disappear. So the game ends when uncleared lines reach the top, which is super stressful before you get to the top. Tetris became iconic for its simple yet addictive gameplay, selling over 202 million copies. And I don't think many, or if any, other gaming franchise has sold quite as many, making it one of the best-selling video game franchises. So its popularity led to numerous versions on over 65 platforms, earning it a Guinness World Record for the most ported video game ever. Tetris has influenced popular culture, including architecture, music, and cosplay, and has been studied for its theoretical complexity and its impact on the human brain, known as the Tetris effect.
Are they doing a movie? I heard they're doing a movie. Are they not? Or am I missing that?
So I think it was mooted, and I think there was like a script, and they got some people together. Now I don't know whether it's actually happening because, to be honest with you, there's an awful lot of video game movies that are in the works. Mainly because of like the way Ready Player One and the Mario Brothers film and stuff like that, because they actually done pretty well. But I don't know if it's actually going ahead.
I would rather you just make a movie about the journey of the creation of the game. Maybe I think that might be a more interesting movie than actually a movie about the game itself.
No, sorry guys, it was actually released.
What? Oh geez, oh boy, that's not good.
This kind of passed us by then, didn't it? No, it was released, and actually it was on Apple TV, I believe. With
is it well reviewed?
Edgerton. 7.4 IMDb, 81% Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
I think actually the movie was based on the creation of the game, though.
March last year. I don't now. In terms of, I think the question you were asking is it kind of a gaming movie? No, I think it's more about the kind of industry and the planning and stuff and the release. I don't.
It's about the building of it. Yeah, it's about how they made. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
they took my idea. Look, I should be in the business. Tell me the story of how Tetris got made. Now I want to see the film.
It seemed to pass us by, though, didn't it? Because none of us knew it had been released.
Yeah, it's weird.
You don't want to see a film about blocks talking to other blocks, mixing together.
No, that's fine.
Really? No. So not a gaming film per se, but definitely.
I legit want to watch the film. Believe it or not, it says here the story of how one of the world's most popular video games found its way to players around the globe. Businessman Hank Rogers and Tetris inventor Alexei joined forces in Russia, risking it all to bring it to the masses. It's an Apple original film, that's why. So it's only on Apple TV. Okay.
If you didn't have Apple TV, you wouldn't have seen it. So
that's right. I need to get Apple TV. I do.
Yeah, I think the Soviet state took a lot of the money from that game as well. I believe so. I might be wrong there, but I think Alexei
How dare you? The Soviets never have stolen a dime from anybody. They're fine.
Let's not open that can of worms. Not at the moment.
Now, unlike the other games, there's no end game. But is there?
Well, it took nearly 35 years, but a 13-year-old Oklahoma boy has become the first human to beat the original Tetris game. Check this out. His name's Willis Gibson. He was live streaming his record-setting 38-minute game. He reached an unheard-of level 157 when the game could no longer keep up with him and crashed.
Oh my God!
The reaction is the best part.
Wow.
So the crash or true kill screen has only been achieved in the past and only been achieved with the use of artificial intelligence.
Humans win. That's good.
Yes.
I bet you that. Yes.
Thank you, Willis.
Yeah, that kid beat Tetris. What do you guys think?
That news was global. It came into England. I remember one of the news reporters said, they spoke about it, and then she said flippantly, he should get out more and enjoy the sun.
I know I hate that kind of stuff.
A typical non-gamer saying something about a gamer there. But
yes, no, that's a huge achievement for that kid. I can probably make it to level 10. I love the game, but I'm horrible at it. I play it casually. Like I'll do my best, but I don't freak out when I don't. I just play it again. That's the thing about this game. You just play it again. There's no real. You don't really lose. You just keep playing until you play again. I don't really care what my score is, but this kid crashed Tetris, so congratulations to him. So there you go.
It's worth noting as well, because I'm sure we mentioned this in one of our pods as well. There was a chap called Jonas Neubauer who is a 7-time Tetris world champion. I mean, just talking about the speed and the ability and stuff like that, and what the game kind of gets you to do and the stress levels. If you look him up and look up some of his like head-to-heads and stuff like that, it is mind-blowingly fast. And to then have someone, 13-year-old kid come along and essentially crash the game, that just tells you the levels that these guys are working at. And unfortunately, Jonas passed away in 2021, so I thought I'd just give him a quick nod. But if you look at any of those guys, those world champions and stuff, it just shows you what kind of a game Tetris is and what it can kind of do to you.
But I was that guy's mate in school. I would have said, "Hey, dude, save some girls for the rest of us, would you?" I mean, come on. Like, come on. Yeah. That's what I would say to him. Like, come on, man. It's not fair, man. Jeez, man. What are you trying to do to me here? Okay. So there you go, folks. There are the 10 games. We'll just go over the list really quickly here for our listeners. The games were DuckTales, Legend of Zelda, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Super Mario Brothers, Castlevania 3, Contra, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Tetris, and Super Mario Brothers 3. So my pick is Metroid.
Oh,
ooh, controversial.
I'm choosing Metroid for the reason of I'm not a big platformer gamer to begin with. I remember not being crazy about it as a kid. Thought it was too weird, too odd. I don't want to play a girl. No, I'm just joking. But it's too difficult to have fun. Though Mega Man 2 is more difficult or equally as difficult, I think it's just a I know it's not a word, a more fun looking game to play. And I just like the way Mega Man looks better than Metroid. Metroid's graphics were weird and I wasn't crazy about them. It's a toss up between those two because I don't like platformer games, scrolling games like that. However, Metroid is my worst pick and that's why.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to be a bit of a rebel. My favourite game on this list, I know we don't do this, Ryan, but I'm going to say probably Super Mario Brothers 3. I'm going to say that.
That's your worst pick?
No, my favourite.
Oh, what are you talking about? I mean, it's your pick. Okay.
My worst pick is going to be very controversial, but a bit like you with platformers, I don't like this particular genre. So there's one game here which people love and adore. I can't stand it. It annoys me. It gets me stressed. I respect it, but I don't like Tetris. There you go. I find Tetris annoying. A lot of people kind of get into that Tetris effect and get kind of addicted and keep going. I could say, nah, I've had enough of that. I'll play another game. So it's an interesting thing to say. And I know people listening will be shouting at me, but
this podcast, as you know, Adrian, you've heard a few episodes of this podcast. There's never a wrong answer or a right answer, meaning like you can never win. The whole idea is you have to take something that is enjoyable, but you have to hurt it a little bit. You have to hurt the things you love. That's the whole point of this podcast. As much as you enjoy something, not everything's created equal. You have to eliminate something. So for you, it's Tetris. Okay.
About a month ago, I said you couldn't win Tetris. So there you go. But now you can. So the joke's on me, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Now you have something to work towards. Oof. Good luck.
I was in two minds as to which is the worst, because there was two kind of like poking out at me, and my second to worst was Tetris.
Oh,
because for the same reasons as Adrian, respect it massively, know that it's just such a world force, but for me, it never clicked. However, and again, I get the game that I would put kind of as my, I say worst, but as you said, the 10 are all amazing, but you have to pick a loser. And unfortunately, my loser is Zelda. And it's only a personal thing. This is nothing to do with the game at all, because I do have a lot of really good memories of originally playing it. The series has gone on to do some massive things. It's huge in the gaming industry, and I know so many people that absolutely love it. For me personally, at the time of playing it, I enjoyed it to a point. Whereas if I look at the rest of the games, I kind of went on to kind of replay. Whereas Zelda, I kind of played, got about 2/3 of the way through it. I enjoyed it, but it just didn't light that spark as much as the rest on that list. So it's a tough one for me, because I know that really punches Adrian in the stomach. But that's the great thing about gaming, though. You know, we all have kind of different tastes, different appreciations, and you know, despite the fact there's a list of 10 amazing games, like industry-defining games, and like you say on your podcast, you've got to pick something that's got to come in at 10th place, and that's mine.
Yeah,
awesome, love it. Now, do you guys have a worst pick for ending, and why? Which is the worst ending to the 10? The worst pick for me for ending, kind of is tagging James, is actually the Legend of Zelda's ending. I didn't like that ending because I found that game, the one that has the most story, breadth of scope. It's all these creatures and swords and triangles and you end the game and she's just kind of like, yeah, you're the hero of Rylou, yay, peace. And that was it. It's like, wow, they held up the triangles. The Mega Man ending was legit.
Yeah.
That's the best ending. That freaking ending was legit. The him walking towards the screen, and the freaking scenes are changing with the different seasons, and he's strutting his stuff. I just love that ending. And then the helmet on the grassy knoll, like, yeah, F this crap, I'm out of here. You guys deal with the next Mega Man. I love that. Even the Metroid ending was amazing. Like, you got the naked chick at the end. Like, oh, like that was amazing. Like, there you go. My worst game had one of the best endings because it was a great reveal that you're playing a naked girl. The Zelda ending, unsatisfactory ending. Because you're playing all this stuff and all you get at the end is like, cool, you're the hero. Well, no, doing the hero, I finished the game. Anyways, that's my worst pick.
I'm going to flip the script, Ryan, and kind of do what you did, but flip it, because I think the worst ending is probably from the best game, and that's Super Mario Bros. 3. I think the ending's rubbish. I can't say anything bad about Zelda, even if it is a bit mediocre at best. But the end of Super Mario Bros. 3 is the worst joke ever written of all time, and we've told quite a few of those today, I think. We come nowhere near as bad as that particular joke. So, yeah, it's a shame, really, it ended like that.
I like your pick. It was a toss-up between two, but the only reason why I didn't pick that, because I just felt the blood, sweat, and tears to put into Zelda that's how I weighed that against that. But yeah, it was a lame joke. Hey, I am the real princess. Haha, bye-bye. What? Bye-bye? I don't
bye-bye.
get bye-bye.
Okay.
That's just such a kick in the face.
What about you, James?
This is a really tricky one, because again, there's two that are jockeying for that 10th position for the worst ending. The one I'd put in 10th is kind of a bit of a cop-out, because it's Tetris, mainly because there's no ending. But I would also agree with the Mario Brothers 3. Because she's been waiting for her whole life to say that really bad joke. Yeah. And secondly, because of the bye-bye. I mean, I've just saved you from the clutches of the most evil dragon, dinosaur, tortoiseshell maniac in the world. And all you can tell me is, yeah, great joke. Yeah, bye-bye. See you later.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Well, you guys, this has absolutely been an absolute blast. You guys have been absolutely great with your time, your knowledge of video games. I hope anyone who's listening to this from your audience will give some of my shows a listen. Take a look at all the different titles, like the subjects of each episode that we do, because we do a variety of different topics, from actors to movies to music to conspiracy theories. We do it all on this channel. So check out all the different topics there. Most of them are all evergreen. We even do yearly celebrity death ones, which are fun to listen to, so you can check those out. Yeah, check out all the episodes. So before we go, though, guys, give me your plugs one more time where people can find you guys.
So we are Arcade Attack. Adrian, myself, Dylan and Keith, and of course Rob was there for a great many episodes, and then I kind of filled his extremely large shoes, or trying to fill his extremely large shoes. But yeah, we're available pretty much, you know, on all the socials, YouTube, etc. And it's great to go onto different podcasts and kind of share the knowledge and the fun and stuff like that. And I thought, great list to chat about. We've chatted about the same kind of things. We make up some like weird and wacky top 25 lists, which are like stupidly controversial for all the wrong reasons. And we love talking about all these subjects. And it's always great to get together with you guys and meet someone new. Ryan, good to meet you. And and to chat about all this. It's been great fun. So yeah.
Before we close one last time, Adrian and I said before the show started that we were both Sega guys growing up. So we're going to do another one of these for the Sega Master System, the NES counterpart. We'll do the top 10. We'll do the same thing. I'm going to use Reddit and curate their top 10 from fans of Sega of what is the top 10 Sega game. So we'll do this again. And James, I'd love to have you back on for that one if you'd like.
Amazing. Big fan of the Master System. Had one. Played loads of the games. So yeah, look forward to it.
Okay. Now remember, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud. And today, let's see if I can remember this. Today for me, worst game was Metroid. Worst ending was Zelda. For Adrian, worst game was Tetris. Ending was Super Mario 3. For James, worst game was
Zelda.
That's right, it was Zelda.
He can't say it.
So I actually forgot. I'm trying to remember three people's, like 6 picks here. Was Zelda, and the worst ending was Tetris. There you go.
Because lack of, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Sure, that's fair. All right, guys, thank you so much.